how can you transform behaviour? How can you transform behaviour? So I got interested in this particular title when I was on a call with the Dean of Research at Hult Business School. And why I was on that call is because that they were announcing a new DBA, and Ashridge and Hult, so Ashridge, my business school, had merged with Hult International Business School, and I was wondering what they were going to be talking about. And they were the Dean of Research, who was Ted Ladd, who was in San Francisco hosting the call, the Zoom call, to probably about a dozen people, was outlining the two areas of research that they were interested in related to strategy and leadership. And one of the questions, or one of those two questions, was how can you transform behavior? So I started to think about that. I thought, how can you transform behavior? And so I looked up the word transform to find out what I was talking about, and it seems that it's in and around the area of to change in composition or structure, to change in character or condition, and basically implies a change in nature or function. It implies a change in nature or function. So I thought, okay, we are talking about change, and I know from experience that is one of those almost cliche words, and I thought, well, what does that mean to me? So today I thought I would give a couple of examples from my own life of what change, in a sense, which led me to consider how might I change my behavior for next year, and it might lead you to consider how you might change your behavior for next year. Yeah. So so I'm looking at it from a personal perspective, and I'm looking at a change in nature or function. So there are two stories. The first story is when I'm a teenager, and it's about my mother. And I believe that during my early teens I was biting my nails, and my mother chose not to address this directly. She did not say, "Stop biting your nails." One evening over tea, she started to tell me a story about going into a new local coffee bar in town in Harrogate. And this was, I'm paying attention because this is a teenage coffee bar, and it's definitely the kind of coffee bar that I would want to go in order to meet, the girls who were also going into the coffee bar. Anyway, my mother went in, and I can't imagine what she was doing there. And she said, she went in, she had a cup of coffee, and she overheard two girls talking. And she was just telling this story as if, we were shooting the breeze over tea. And she said, do you know, it's funny, these two girls were talking about boys' nails. And apparently, both of them agreed that they couldn't possibly go out with a boy who did not take care of his nails. She didn't say any more. She left it like that. It had a profound impact on me because it was my intention to go in that coffee bar, and it was my intention to meet those girls. But you can guess the rest. I was biting my nails. I stopped, and I started to take care of my hands in a completely different way. So what my mother had done without addressing it directly had addressed my intention, my future intention. Then I came up with the solution and changed my behavior. The second example, you might say, is more adult. So it's to do with drinking. And I remember being introduced to having a drink, and my frame of reference around that was having fun, socializing, and being friendly with people. And this was the way that this was done was after work to have a drink with people. And this is great as long as you are remembering your original intention. But there are occasions when it goes across the bridge and suddenly it's no longer fun. And the power relationship has switched from the individual concerned to the alcohol. And I was doing this behavior for a period of time, and I thought, this long term isn't going to work, and I wanted to make a change to it. And I did in fact work with a practitioner on this, and what we did was to reveal the positive intention of that behavior. So we started to work, which was about fun, and it was about sociability, and we started to look at alternative solutions for delivering the same intention. And once I understood that I was working with the intention, I was able to come up with alternative solutions. Now, it's not quite as straightforward as that. It takes quite a bit of skill in revealing the intention and then utilizing that in a creative way. But I was able, by addressing the intention, to change my behavior. And this is really the bit that I want to offer to, if I was offering it to Ted Ladd, but to anybody who's involved in a change, what they call change programs, or a transformation program. So you will all know that those of you who work in organizations, that change programs can generate different kinds of responses, a bit like a bell curve. And so there will be, on one end of the bell curve, those people who are very pro change, and on the other side of the bell curve there will be people who are not interested whatsoever. This is a kind of natural distribution of opinion. And if you are to go into an organization and say, you have been doing everything wrong, that behavior doesn't work, it's likely to generate a lot of resistance. And the background to this idea really is that you sponsor the intention of the existing behavior, or you sponsor the intention, yes, you sponsor the intention of the existing behavior, and so you say, well done. Everything that you have done so far has worked. And I want you to keep on doing that unless and or until you can find some alternative ways that deliver the same intention, the same payoff. This allows an individual, first of all, to validate what they have done up until this point. Most of them will have been acting under instructions anyway, so you can hardly hold them accountable for the instructions that they've been receiving. So they'll be able to validate what they've done up until this point, and then they will be in a position where they, given the new objectives, they're able to choose new behaviors. And the new behaviors are a consequence of working and validating the original intention. So this has been about how you can transform behavior. How can I change next year? How can you change next year? And the focus of attention, I'm suggesting, is that you work with the intention of the existing condition and allow the new behaviors to come out of new solutions that address the existing intention. Okay, this is a footnote for those of you who are involved in change or transformation. In a group of 10 or 20 managers, most of whom you will need on board, I have found there is nearly always a single person, or two people who have no intention of joining in. This will not be said overtly, it will be disguised. Often these people are very skillful socially. They don't stand there and rage at you. In fact, if someone stands there and rages at you, you can start to work with what it is that they're raging about. What they will do is just keep their opposition to themselves, and regardless of the fact that there is a transformation program going on, they will start to pursue another agenda which will be to the detriment of the people leading the program. This seems to happen often, and if you're going to be embarking on a transformation program, you need strategies available to know that that is going to happen, because quite often they can derail what you're trying to achieve, not because they don't think that the transformation program works, but because they have no interest in it working. So that's the tip. How can you transform behavior? How can I change for next year? How can you change for next year? Thank you.